Hey everyone, today I wanted to go over with you every movie that I saw that came out in 2024. I saw 35 movies, and a lot of them I actually found to be very good. I think this is one of the best best years for movies in a long time. I think horror especially really shined, and of these 35 movies, most of them seemed to be horror that I really liked. Now, I did plan on doing a tier list. I had it all made, and until today, it was saved on my computer, and I don't know what happened. It's like it never existed. So, luckily, I made a letterboxd a while back, and I kept track of every movie that I saw. This is just in order of how I saw them. So, the first movie I saw of the year was Lisa Frankenstein, and last night I saw Nosferatu. So, I'll talk about each of these movies, and then when I'm done, I will show you one of my other lists where I rank all of them. So, it was hard to rank all of these. So, whenever I get to that, some of them you could really flip around, but um, I feel like for the most part, I kept them in a star rating. So you'll see. I'll explain it whenever I get to there. So, starting off with Lisa Frankenstein, and I may be the only person to say this, but this movie is actually tied for my first place. Now, I can't decide which one is truly first place, this one or another one coming up about halfway through. Um, just for completely different reasons. They're both horror movies. If you want to consider this horror, to me, this is like the perfect date night movie. If you're with a girl or your partner that likes horror, it was just like for me everything I wanted. I really like Catherine Newton. She's been one of my favorite leading actresses in horror, and she plays the role of Lisa really well. I liked the setting of the movie. I just had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was funny. The jokes were, not just PG jokes. They were kind of some adult ones thrown in there. And I had a really good time with it. And it's kind of stuck on my first place. I haven't seen it since. I do own it. So I'm saving it for the right time to watch it. So that's why for now I've just kept it in first place because I need to rewatch both my number ones, if you want to say, one more time each, and then I would need to be like, okay, well, this is why this one is slightly above it, but yeah, I'll talk about the other one when I get there. Next is Dune Part Two. This movie was fantastic. I saw it twice in theaters, and I have it on 4K. I will say though, the first time I saw it, I was slightly disappointed because I kept hearing that it was like the Empire Strikes Back of the Dune movies, which I mean, there's only technically three, but two in this series by this director. But yeah, everyone just made it seem like, oh, it's going to be like upping the action. And while there is definitely some more action, it's also a lot of just as much story as the first one. I don't know which one I like a little bit more. They're pretty much tied for me because the last act of that movie is amazing. I think I really like the movie from the point on where Austin Butler's character gets introduced. From that point on, I think the movie is excellent. Up until then, there's some great parts, but it moved a little slow. But still, I would give this 5 stars, at least 4.5. There was really nothing I didn't like about it. And that ending fight scene between Paul Atreides and I forget his name. It's like I know it starts with like an F, but I'm not. It's not like an easy name to remember. But yeah, Austin Butler and Timothy Chalamet, they fight, and that fight scene is great. So for me, that's one of the best of the year. Immaculate was it just kind of felt average to me. It wasn't anything bad. Like I watched it, felt like, oh, okay, it's fine. It's towards the bottom, but it's not bad. Like if you were like, hey, do you want to rewatch that? I wouldn't say like absolutely not, but it just didn't do anything that I felt like I hadn't seen before. And a movie coming up here shortly, The First Omen, felt like it was the same exact movie done just slightly better. They were so similar. I saw them like days apart, maybe not even a full week. So yeah. So Immaculate for me was kind of low, but it wasn't bad. A lot of these movies I didn't feel were terrible. There's only maybe three that I was like, man, I really didn't like that. So next was Late Night with the Devil, another one I own. This one I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm gonna love this movie, and I for the most part did. Now I do think it gets a little the special effects get cheesy, and I feel like it kind of like jumps the shark a little bit towards the end, gets a little too crazy. But upon rewatching, I was like, okay, I don't hate that ending, but yeah, I still think it's a great movie. Uh, Definitely one that is one of the best found footage, if you want to kind of consider that found footage of the past few years, and the whole backstory with it. Them adding in like his him and Johnny Carson competing. I just thought that was a lot of fun, or it was interesting. Learning all that, and it's set in the '70s, so I really enjoyed it. And then next is the First Omen. Like I said, it's pretty much the same movie as Immaculate. It's almost like shot for shot in some spots, but I think the First Omen was slightly better. I would give like Immaculate like 2 stars, 2.5, or I'd give the First Omen like 3, 3.5. Um, I think there's some scenes in the First Omen that were like really good and some creepy moments, and like the trailer for that movie was really good also. For Immaculate, the only reason I had watched it in the first place was because I kept hearing how great her Sydney Sweeney's acting was, which she did do a good job. But you know, it just I felt like overall the First Omen, I would rewatch it. I almost debating on whether I want to buy it. I think it's one of those movies. I think if I just saw it one more time, I'd be good. So I don't really want to buy it. So next is the first kind of disappointment on this list was the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. So I'm a big James Bond fan, and I know a lot about World War II history. And Ian Fleming, the author of the James Bond novels, him himself, not like the real Ian Fleming, but somebody played him, and his role in creating this group and creating the a certain like special ops British group, which eventually led to MI6. I don't exactly know the details, but yeah, this movie, I just had such high hopes for it, and I watched it, and I saw it with my aunt. We both at one point fell asleep because it was so slow, and it was only for like maybe 10 minutes at most. But I was just like, I really don't even feel like I missed anything. Um, Not a bad movie because it does get good. I just overall was like, that's a little disappointing. So it's a little low. It's one I may rewatch at some point, but I'm not like super excited. That was one that was like very high on my list for the year. Dune Part 2 was like my most anticipated movie, and then probably that may have been even second. So, Abigail, I liked it for about 75% of it, and then towards the end, I was kind of losing interest. Sometimes in the movie theater, I feel like movies drag on for a long time. I sit at home and I feel like they go by normal pace, but in the movie theater, I'm just like, I don't know why this feels like it's taking a really long time. The movie's not even that long, but I thought it was fine. Some people really love it. I know the really big YouTuber Cody Leach. This was like his favorite movie of the year for at least a long time. I don't know if it still is, but it's not very high on my list. But I didn't hate it. I just thought it was fine, and I think like the cast did really well. Again, another movie with Catherine Newton in it. Um, Once something happens to her character, I kind of was like, eh. From that point on, I was like, I kind of don't like this anymore. But until that point, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying myself. The Fall Guy, it was a fun time. It was a good comedy. I I think I got exactly what I expected out of it. I wouldn't say that it was like one of the best comedies I've ever seen, but it wasn't like a big disappointment. Ryan Gosling is funny. He's one of my favorite actors. He plays, like a typical Ryan Gosling kind of character. Um, and Emily Blunt is kind of a good. I don't know if they didn't have much chemistry, and I felt like it was more Emily Blunt's fault. Like I've never really seen too many people have bad chemistry with Ryan Gosling, but it kind of felt like she was a little wooden. That was my only critique, but the movie was fun and I had a good time. I just felt like their chemistry wasn't the best. Civil War may be one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. I didn't see anything about this movie. I didn't see the trailer or anything until like 2 days before seeing it. I was like, all right. Somebody told me like this movie was really good, and I was like, okay. I always like to go give movies a shot, even if like unless it just looks terrible to me. And so I I saw the trailer, and I was like, that has potential to be pretty good. I don't know. I saw it, and I will say, seeing it in IMAX makes it like a perfect movie almost because of the sound and just the like overall just immersing yourself in the world and like the battle scenes. At home, it loses some points because all of that action is a little bit like the sound quality in the theater was excellent. Where at home, at least through my TV speakers, so I don't have like surround sound. I do kind of, but like it's such a pain to set up. I don't even bother anymore. Um, that it kind of lost some points for me. But overall, it's like I would say an 8 out of 10. And this introduced me to another one of my new favorite actresses, Kaylee Spaney. I'd never heard of her, and she was good in this movie. And then in another movie coming up, I'll talk about Furiosa. I enjoyed this one a lot. I didn't like it as much as Fury Road, but I do think they're pretty close. Um, I think Anya Taylor Joy was great as Furiosa. I enjoyed it a lot. It felt like it fit in the universe really well. Chris Hemsworth was a pretty good villain, and then bringing back a Morton Joe, it felt like it was a really good prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, and I enjoyed it. Um, and to that point, it was in my top 4 or 5 for the year. To this point, Lisa Frankenstein was first, and then Dune, then Civil War, and then I think it was Furiosa. So next we have The Watchers. Now I know a lot of people didn't like this movie. It was kind of so like I again. I think I kept hearing how bad it was. There's another movie coming up soon that I kept hearing how bad it was, and then I finally saw it, and I was like, I thought it was fine. Like I'm not saying it was great, but I watched it and I was like, there's things in it I like, but I do think that there's some logic gaps or issues that you kind of have to overlook. But I found it to be interesting. I think as longer it goes on, it starts to get less and less interesting, but it kept my attention the whole time. I enjoyed it. And I personally, so I know Shyamalan himself and like came out with Trap. I saw the trailer for that and I was like, this looks so stupid. I was like, just by the idea of the trailer, I just was like so out of it. And I was like, honestly, The Watchers is, if we're to combine his daughter's movie with all of his movies, it might be like fifth overall. Like Sixth Sense, Signs, The Village, and then there's one more. I'm drawing a blank. And then I would say Watchers would be probably fifth. So I really enjoyed it for what it was. I'm not saying it was great. I gave it, I think, 3 stars because I was like, I'd watch it again, but I probably wouldn't buy it. And I've recommended it to people that were like on the fence about it. I'm like, hey, you know what? Give it a shot. It's not that bad. Is it great? No, but I enjoyed it. Maxine, I think this is the weakest in the trilogy, but it's not bad. I only really like Pearl. That was the only one that really I really liked. Maxine's setting, I thought I was really going to like it in the 80s, and there were things about that I liked, but I just kind of expecting more. It just fell a little bit flat for me. Again, it's not bad. I would, if I were to rank them, it would be Pearl X, then Maxine. The kills in both Maxine and X maybe a little bit better than Pearl, but I don't know. I really like Pearl, and I didn't think that the Maxine movies were as good to me. So, but yeah, still a fine movie. I didn't dislike it. I've seen it twice, and both times I just kind of felt the same. I wouldn't say it's not going to be one of those I feel like my opinion is going to change. Next is a movie I've seen, like, I think out of all the movies this year, I've seen the most. It's actually tied. There's another one. I've seen one more, or the same amount of times. So Longlegs, I love this movie. I was so hopeful for it, and I was expecting to be disappointed, but I was like, you know what? This director, for the most part, his like movies just like really work for me, except for one of them. I didn't like I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives Inside Your House. That's the only one that I just found it to be a little too boring. But his first movie, The Black Coat's Daughter, is one of my favorite horror movies. Gretel and Hansel, I liked the idea of it. It's every time I watch it, I like it slightly more, but I don't love it. But Longlegs is really good. I would say that's my second favorite of his, and this is in my top five of the year. I'll tell you exactly where as soon as we get to the ranking. So yeah, I really loved everything about it. I've watched it I think four times already, and I want to watch it again. Like it was the first time I watched it, I was like, why is Micah Monroe acting so strange? Like it seems like she's acting like she has no emotion. There's got to be a reason for it because I know she's a good actress. And it goes on, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're getting at. And then the kind of like I don't want to say twist ending, but the reveal at the ending of what's happening. I was like, man, this is really good, and it really, I feel like it could have had a little bit more throughout it, but honestly, I really enjoyed it. This is one that's been divisive amongst some horror people. Really love it, and some people just think it's overrated. I'm in the I love it side. So in general, if there's a movie on this list that we don't agree with, that's fine. Like don't think I care that you like a movie that I don't, or you don't like a movie I love. Like there's a movie coming up that there was two in a row. I saw them back to back. I hated them. They're my bottom two movies of the year, and they're like considered to be people's like magnum opus of 2024 that I'm just like I hated them. So yeah, Twisters. I don't know. It was fine. I don't even love Twister to be completely honest with you. I thought it was a fine movie. Twister is definitely better in my opinion, but Twisters has some pretty good special effects and the sound was good. Uh, it was a fine movie. I saw this with family. We all went together and saw this. That was kind of the only reason I saw it because I was like, I'm just not super interested. But they were like, hey, we're all going to see Twisters. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll check it out. And that was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I gave it 3 stars because it's not like excellent, but it's not any means a bad movie. And the main actor, I forget his name, did well. The main girl, I'm bad at remembering names, so the fact that I've even been able to pull some of these names out on the fly is like kind of surprising. So next is I think the first movie that was on streaming that I checked out. There's just two in a row here. Lovely, Dark, and Deep. This was on Tubi, I think. And I wasn't even sure if it came out this year. I kept getting, like, some people said it came out late 2023 and some people said early 24. And I was like, I'm going to throw it on there because I took the time to watch it. And it said when I went under the listing that it was 2024. So I was like, okay. This movie is like about a girl, or I shouldn't say girl, woman who goes into the woods of like northwestern U.S., like Washington, and she basically something is like changing within the woods. Like the woods is kind of almost like alive, and it expects something from you for you to survive. It's kind of weird. I've got it low. It's not like horrible, but it's just like I wasn't. I was just like not feeling this movie. I was just like, man, this is boring. And then the reveal happens. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like everyone that goes through these woods seems to have some trauma that like the woods kind of knows about, and like it expects you to give something of yourself. I don't. I just like whatever. I was like, it's fine. I'm not doing a great job explaining it. I realize, but I'll admit I was kind of like, this isn't my thing. Um, Land of Bad. This was a pretty good Netflix movie. Netflix 2, maybe even 3 years in a row. I can't remember when Extraction 1 came out. Has delivered some really good action movies. Extraction 2 is my favorite movie from last year, and Land of Bad is definitely up in the top 10. I really enjoyed it. Looking on my list, it is number 8. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I like war, like realistic war movies. Some of it, I'm sure, is a little bit over dramatized, but like for the most part, I think it was pretty realistic. Seeing like how they use like help back at base, like UAV drones and just help from just I can't really describe what I'm trying to say, but like the military or U.S. military will be like, hey, we have a base of whatever country. We'll just say terrorists. We need air support on this location, and then you see like a UAV flying overhead, just boom, 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 and it's just like watching them light up the ground. I've always enjoyed that kind of thing, and like this movie was pretty good. And these four like special, well, I think three are special ops, and then one of them isn't, and he's just which Army Ranger still to me is very impressive. So, but yeah, they go behind enemy lines to find somebody, and it goes bad. So, next is one of the biggest surprises of the year. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, I got to be honest, this trailer doesn't look that great. And then I kept hearing like there's some great horror like jump scares in this, and I'm like, jump scares just don't get me. First time in a long time, it got me bad. I honestly, there's a scene in this movie. If you've seen it, it probably got you too. I've literally not jumped at a horror movie since maybe I was a kid, and this got me like, holy crap! And I was like, my aunt was sitting next to me during the summer. Her and I usually go see a movie a week, and this was this week, and she like literally like screamed and like ripped the chair really hard, and I was like, that was a good jump scare. I was like, I'm not gonna lie. So this movie for me is in the top four. We'll just say top five. So it was fourth. I really like this movie. It's about a married couple. They just buy a kind of almost like not a castle, but like a house that almost looks like it's a castle. And she's at home by herself one night, and someone knocks on her door. He's kind of strange looking, and he says he's a patient of her husband, who is a psychologist or a doctor of patients who have mental issues. And he says there's somebody inside your house, and it kind of cuts off, and you find out that she's been murdered, and it's been almost a year later, and she's got a twin sister who's blind and is a psychic, and can communicate with the dead, and can touch objects, and can get like the story behind how it's haunted and things like that. And you find out some details, and she's got this crazy looking like wooden doll that she can kind of like control. It's really good. If you have not seen Oddity and you're into horror movies, check that one out. It's very underrated. Next one, another really disappointing one, Cuckoo. I was like, this trailer looks fantastic, and then like I saw the movie, and I was just like, there's like nothing here. Like I'm just not. It's like there's things about it I definitely liked, but like overall, I was like, this movie's just not really that interesting. I was like, I was expecting better. I was expecting more. Like the best scene is in the trailer where she's getting chased on the bicycle, and you see the shadow and of like the hand reaching out, and she turns and sees the girl or the woman, whatever the cuckoo thing, and yeah, that was like the best part of the movie. And the rest, I was just like, didn't get me. I was just like, this wasn't my thing. So unfortunately, Cuckoo for me, it's towards the bottom, but I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was disappointing. So I'll tell you when we get to that point where it's at. You'll see where it's at. Okay, so next is the movie that is tied for first place. Alien Romulus was like, holy shit. Like, I saw this in theaters. My expectations couldn't have been higher. I was like, this trailer sold me. Fede Alvarez, I think is his name, the guy who did Evil Dead, liked that movie. This is better. I was like, okay, dude. I was like, if you're doing better than Evil Dead, you got to start doing like all these old franchises, bringing them back. Like, he knows how to remake a franchises, like what made them good, and kind of like throw together what makes it good, update it, and make it like the best of. Alien Romulus is like the best of Alien, the best of Alien 2, the best of the like Prometheus movies. All right, let's throw it together, and you get some really good stuff. That's why I say it's tied for first, because like I saw it, and I don't ever walk out of a theater like geeked up. I was like, yeah, and I walked out and was like, I had to tell everybody about it, and I've been wanting to rewatch it. I got the 4K of that just actually for Christmas. That was one of the movies I got, and I've been waiting for my friend to watch it with me, and I'm like, dude, we got to watch this. I'm like, you're gonna love it, because he likes the Alien movies too, and he he doesn't get out to the movies very much. So, um, yeah, if my expectations were here and they were surpassed, I was like, I'm walking out of the theater with just a big smile on my face, and that scene that's in the trailer where they're being chased through the hallway, and those face huggers are like spiders crawling, jumping off walls, and I was like, oh, this is intense, and yeah, I loved it. So I'm looking forward to rewatching it again. I'm probably gonna either watch it with him tonight or tomorrow night. So Deadpool and Wolverine is next. I'm not a I'm not a Marvel guy, so I don't really know Marvel characters all that well, to be completely honest. I see the Deadpool movies because Ryan Reynolds' humor. So, I'm not really the target audience for this. I'll say it was funny. It's kind of tied for, like, if you were to ask me right now how to rank them, I'd probably say it's third. But it's kind of like I would watch two or three and feel the same way about. One, I still think is the funniest, but I can't judge it based off of like the comic book side, like how, like, oh, well, this character, like some of these characters, I was like, I recognize them, but I don't know who they are. Um, so yeah, I mean, I had a good time and all, but I can't speak for it like Marvel fans can. So, challengers, not my thing. I just got to be honest. Everyone did a fine job. Zendaya did good job with what she was told to do, but yeah, I got to be honest, it wasn't my kind of movie. I didn't really even want to watch it, but someone was like, "You got to give it a chance," and I was like, "Sure, why not?" At this point of the year, I was kind of in between movies. These next grouping of movies, I was just waiting for like October, and I was picking at anything, and I was like, "Man," I told her, I was like, "I got to be honest, that wasn't for me." I was like, I didn't hate it, but it just it's not my thing. So it's low on my list, but uh, yeah, I didn't realize how low it was. Yeah, it's pretty low. So yeah, and then next was Kinds of Kindness. So I'd never seen this director's movies before. I forget his name. I was like, sure, you know what, this one looks kind of interesting. I almost went and saw it, but I was like, it's kind of long. I want to take my time with it and watch it at home when it comes to streaming. So if I really don't like it, I'm gonna watch it in parts. So this is like a three mini movies in one. So it's like each are an hour long. I think the first one was the best. The second one was pretty close, maybe slightly less interesting. And then the third just really, I didn't like it. So yeah, I mean, overall, did I like it? I don't know, man. It's just weird. Again, like none of these movies I watch and I'm like, oh, that guy did a really bad job. Like rarely do I say that. But it just, I can't anymore say like, oh, the acting was so good that the movie was that good. Um, yeah, I just thought, I was like, it's kind of weird. I wouldn't watch it again, but there were moments in it that I was interested in. The third story kind of took me out of it, and by that point, I was like, I'm ready for this to be over. So, next is The Crow, the remake or reimagining. This was the other one that I was saying people kept saying was terrible, and I saw it and I was like, it's just fine. I like the original The Crow a lot. Do I like it as much as the people who are like in love with Brandon Lee? No. I think it's a good movie and I enjoy it a lot. I saw this and I was like, it is not even close, but there's some good in this for me to say. If people are like, is it awful? No, I don't think it's really that bad. It's kind of in the middle for me. I would watch it again, but I don't want to. It's like, okay, there's some good stuff in this. Like, there's a scene in it where some guy is getting pulled by demons into hell, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Unfortunately for me, what I feel like this is kind of the biggest problem. The characters aren't likable. The ones we're supposed to like. The character that was originally played by Brandon Lee, he's just not that likable. I have a hard time connecting with people that in movies that are like supposed to be sympathetic because that they're hooked on drugs. Just not my thing. Like I can't really connect with somebody like that. So yeah, but I was at least like, I want to see these villains get what they have coming to them. and that you get that. So I was like, the action is good, but it comes a little too late in the movie. It takes a good chunk of the movie to get there, and there's a decision that's made at one point that I just kind of didn't understand why they went that way. Um, he kind of like messes up before he becomes the Crow, and then he has to do something to get the ultimate power of being immortal back. And it just kind of was like, I don't know why they did that, but okay. I mean, I get why they did it, but I didn't really like it. So, movie was fine. I spent too much time talking about it already. So we're at the point where I mentioned the movies, the two in a row that people really liked this year that I hated. Strange Darling and The Substance, I do not like at all. Like, I just, I didn't think that they're bad movies. I just watched them and I'm just like, I don't, I think Strange Darling, like, was very predictable. Like, I knew the twist, like, very soon into the movie. I didn't really enjoy it. I don't really like watching people do drugs, and that's a big part of this movie for whatever reason. And I just was like, all right, let's get this over. Let's get to where this is going to be interesting for me. And I just never really liked it. I got to be honest. It's my least favorite movie of the year. It's not the worst. Again, like, I know somebody's going to, it's like, oh, you don't mind The Crow, but you hate Strange Darling and The Substance. Like, hey man, it's just me. Like, you can say The Crow is terrible. I don't care. But I'm only defending the movie just because I don't think it's truly awful. Where like Strange Darling, I'm just saying I don't like, and kind of the same with The Substance. I didn't even like hate the movie. For most of it, I was just like, it's fine. Like, the body horror was good, but I don't know. I just didn't like it. And then I thought it got kind of silly and stupid whenever it just goes like full on. It's just like, all right, this is too much. It's like, I was watching with my aunt, and the look on both of our faces, like, I was like, oh my God. It's like, this is just ridiculous. And she's never seen anything like that before. And she just looked at me like, yeah, that wasn't, we just didn't connect with it. If it's your thing, I'm glad you got a movie out of this year that you loved. Um, just Strange Darling and The Substance are my 34 and 35. So there had to be one. Salem's Lot is another one. So I love the original Salem's Lot. This was like a watered down B movie version of that. Like, they like, okay, we got 15 days to film this. Let's just take the highlights of that movie and try and recreate it with CGI and terrible. I don't know. I didn't like anything about it. Salem's Lot was. I was waiting for this movie since it was announced because I liked the original so much, and then I saw this and I was like, no, that was bad. That's towards the bottom for me too. It's only one before Challengers because it was at least horror, and I was interested from the start. But when I saw the trailer for Salem's Lot, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. So yeah, didn't enjoy it. VHS Beyond I'm so happy this was good because I hated VHS 85. Like, VHS Viral is slightly better to me than 85 because at least there's a segment in Viral that I like. And 85, from start to finish, I was like, I'm never going to watch that again. I was like, this was terrible. I remember bashing it last year and talking about how much I hated it. Beyond was so good for me. There was only one segment I didn't like. It was the last one, unfortunately. It was the one Mike Flanagan and his wife made together. I think he wrote it, she directed it. I didn't connect with it. It just wasn't my thing. But that first one where the voice actor for Woods was in it, the original voice actor for Woods, and it's called Stork. Oh, man, that's one of the best I've seen in years and in so many VHS movies. That was the best, I think, since Hellrat, whatever, the sewer or Storm Drain. That was like, I was like, man, that was good. I really liked Stork. The one with the woman and the like, she's like a dog daycare thing going on, and those like activists try and sabotage her, and she turns it on them. That was at first I was like, where's this going? And then whenever the reveal, I was like, this is nuts. So yeah, I thought it was fun. So yeah, I would say I enjoyed VHS Beyond a fair amount. Smile 2, so this I'm very like mixed on. So like the actress did such a good job. Oh man, I knew her name like until I'm on the spot to like say her name. Like I know it. Naomi Scott. She did really well. This is the first time I had ever heard of her. She played the character well. Even though she didn't play a likable character, I felt like I was still like, okay, I like this actress in this role, so I'm kind of, even though again with the whole drug thing, that was my like, I don't like watching characters do drugs. Her character is pretty hard to sympathize with for being such a piece of crap throughout this movie at times, but she's trying to make her life at least better, and she's got a lot of crap to deal with, and so like that I liked. And then the music, I don't like pop music, but I gotta say, like, her singing is great, and the song "New Brain," I've been like listening to that still ever since. I was like, this song is great. But I just felt like the movie wasn't as interesting as the first one. I didn't like it a whole lot. Like I just felt like it was repeating the same beat after beat. Like she gets herself into something where she's like, "Is this real or not?" It's almost never real, or if it is, something bad happens and it sets her up for the next thing. It just keeps happening and happening until the ultimate ending that just again was like, okay, just, you knew it was going to happen. So yeah, it's it was disappointing, but it's not bad. I have a lot of like, and I'm gonna keep my eye out for this actress now. I'll say I think she did a fantastic job, but like the movie, I was just like, yeah, not my thing. I was disappointed. I have someone that I think was their top three movies of the year. So yeah, I mean, a friend of mine. So yeah, I mean, just me maybe, but Beetlejuice. I saw this. My mom wanted to see it. I had no intention of it, and then I was like, okay, that was fun. But I don't think it's as good as the original. It's still fine, and I think Michael Keaton still has it. Jenna Ortega was a good casting choice, and then bringing back Winona Ryder and then some of the other cast members from the original was good. I don't have honestly a whole lot to say about it other than it was fine. If you like the original, you'll probably like this. So, Terrifier 3. I'm not a big fan of these Terrifier movies. I think Art's funny and does some funny things, but I just think it's like excessive gore for the sake of it. And I just, like, he is interesting, but like this story, I don't care. I'm just like, whatever. I don't know. It just, I'm not a big fan of it. I will say, though, Terrifier 3 is my favorite of the three. I enjoyed the whole aspect of it being around Christmas, and I think it has some pretty funny moments where him and Santa, like he goes to the bar and sees Santa, and then he ends up peeing on him, and then where he pretends he's Santa after taking his whole outfit, and he's like has kids on his lap. I thought that was kind of funny. It's not bad. I don't dislike it. It's the first one in the series I'll say I don't dislike. Where the other two, I thought the first one was, I never finished it. I couldn't. I tried like three times. The second one I just thought was too long, and I just was like done after like 2 hours. I was like, just needs to end. Um, Mr. Crockett. I think the actor who plays Mr. Crockett was really good. He plays like almost like a Mr. Rogers or something, or like a Steve from Blue's Clues, where he's inviting kids to his show, or it's like his show is about children and like it's a kid show. Well, he is kind of now like a ghost or like a otherworldly figure thing now, where he sees kids that are abused through their TV, and he brings them back to his TV set, or the set of what it was, Mr. Crockett's show. He ended up being killed on or something. I can't exactly remember, but I saw this one like late October, early November, and yeah, I was like, you know what, that was, it's got enough in it. I was like, that wasn't bad. I could see them doing a sequel. It needs to be better though. I think the he did good. The special, like the puppets and the special effects was excellent. Everything else not great. So like I gave it kind of like a low-ish rating. It's towards the bottom, but it's not bad. Like I would say the last like 6 movies are the only ones that I would say, like, okay, I really didn't like. This was probably the last one that I would say. I would still say there's something in it that I'm like, okay, you know what, that's worth a watch. Heretic was. I'm so glad I wasn't disappointed by this because I saw the trailer and I was like, this looks awesome. And then I was like, I love this like mind game that he's playing with these two like the girls that are Mormons, and he invites them over, or I think they just show up because he had showed interest, and he invites them in, tricks them to come in because uh, sisters, I think is what Mormon women are called, um, aren't allowed into a house that doesn't have a woman in it. Well, he tricks them in. They were so eager to tell him about uh, their religion, and then they get in there and he's trapped them and he starts questioning their religion, and he's got this whole thing schemed out for them. It's I don't want to tell you too much because if you were on the fence about seeing Heretic, I think it's awesome. I can't wait to that one to come out. I'm going to definitely buy that. I think at this point, I have every movie I plan on. Like I own every movie that I was going to buy anyway. Like I said, maybe it would have been the first Omen, but yeah, everything else I own. If I said, oh, and then VHS Beyond, but Daddy's Head. This one, it was recommended to me by the friend that really liked Smile 2. It's so weird because like sometimes him and I like 100% agree, and other times we're just complete opposite. He really liked Daddy's Head. I didn't. He really liked Smile 2. I just thought it was fine. So yeah, the story for this was just kind of it's like a dad. So he remarried this into a new woman after I think the mom had died, and now he is on his deathbed. I think he was in a car accident, and the stepmom has to take care of the son. He's behaved poorly, and she doesn't care about him. Well, she is a recovering alcoholic and falls back into drinking because of this, and the little boy starts seeing his dad, and it turns out it's some other. It's like an alien or some creature that has taken the form to look like his dad. It was an interesting premise, but I just didn't like it. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So I'm not huge into these movies, but I grew up playing Shadow the Hedgehog, the game, and I was like, okay, I really liked the game, and I really liked the character of Shadow. So I was like, I'm gonna check this one out because I saw 1 and 2. I was like, 1 is fine. 2 I didn't really like. It's kind of too kid oriented for me, and the humor and like the focusing on the people just didn't land for me. This one I at least was like, okay, this was fun, and I liked Keanu Reeves' Shadow, and I liked the darker tone in it, kind of based around almost like revenge and how important it is to have someone there for you. The whole thing was where you found friends and somebody to care for you. Shadow only dealt with pain and loss, and how it drove him to revenge. So, yeah, I mean, I like that. And then lastly, this movie I saw last night. I have so many, so much aggravation from not the movie, the people next to me. So my movie theater I used to work at has a bar. The 2 people next to me, 2 guys, weird and matching white athletic like jumpsuits. Not athletic at all. Very drunk, talking the whole movie, snoring, falling asleep, coughing, sneezing, all on me. Smelled really bad, like they just got back from a bar, and I was losing my mind. I was getting really angry, and I almost said something. I was like, dude, it's like I want to enjoy this movie. You are ruining it. I'm about to like. I was like so mad. So that being said, do I think maybe that had played a role in my feeling of the movie? Maybe a little. Did I dislike the movie overall? It's fine. I was like, this is a really good movie. Like I can see it as a good movie. Whereas like Strange Darling and The Substance, I look at and I'm just like, I don't really grasp. I'm just not my thing. Nosferatu was like, I've seen Dracula though like 100 times. This feels like a darker Dracula, but it's still the same story. I knew how everything was going to go beat for beat. It's just how he did it. So it was like, yeah, he did a really good job. The acting was good, and I enjoyed it for that. But it was like, I just know the story too well, and those people were killing me. I was like, it just took everything I had to not lose it. So it's low on my list, but I can't 100% fault the movie. Everyone was really good in it though. Like I can't even like literally whoever was in the movie, they were good. There wasn't a single even like average actor. Um, so I kind of want to rewatch it, but I need to be like alone and watch it because yeah, that was just a bad experience. Um, the movie I would say is like 2.5, 3 stars. So here's my whole ranking of 2024. Like I said, these two are tied. It's does this really deserve to be first? It's sat for me really well. So is it like near the best movies of the year? I don't know. Probably not, but I just really enjoyed it. Alien Romulus is to me the best movie of the year. So I would, if you were to go based off that, sure, then that's number one. But so I'm just kind of tying with these. Long Legs, fantastic. Like these are my top three. Oddity was such a surprise. I've seen it 4 times. I really like it. Civil War, like I said, uh, enjoyed it. Dune, Heretic, Land of Bad. You can see. So 1 through 35. So the first five up here, then 6 through 10, 11 through 16. So as you can see here, and honestly, like I said, up until Mr. Crockett, or up until these two, like this is the last one I would say I'd recommend to people. These ones, like I really can't rank Daddy's Head through Lovely Dark and Deep. Like I just really wasn't feeling them. These two, I just don't want to watch ever again. Like I tried The Substance like a second time. I just didn't enjoy it. It's not my thing. And a lot of these middle ones, like The Crow is not a better movie than a lot of these, but like I didn't hate it. And some of them, like I rank them the same, like 3 stars, 3 stars, generally because I'm like I don't really know how I feel about them. I'm just gonna throw them all in 3 stars, and when I talk about them, you'll know how I feel at least. Like First Omen, I'm tempted to move up higher, but it really kind of does it. You get my thoughts on the movies, so that's all that I really wanted to get across. So I do think I need to give Nosferatu another chance, but it will not be in the movie theater. I'm getting tired of dealing with people in the movie theater. Every time I go, almost, I kid you not, there is something. During Heretic, it was my parents and I, we went and saw it late one night. So this is like a 10 o'clock showing, and there was a mom and dad and a grandma, and they brought a little like 3-year-old girl playing on her iPad. I could hear her like playing a game, and we're at the top, they're at the bottom. I could hear it the whole time. Somebody said something, but then she's just talking the whole movie, and I'm like, why are you bringing your like 3-year-old daughter to this? It's like this isn't that kind of movie. It's like bring them to Sonic, whatever, sure, bring them to. Uh, I don't know. Maybe these aren't the best examples, but you get my point. Like Beetlejuice, sure, I can like. All right, you know what? This is more of a kids movie. I can shut up and just. But like, whenever you're taking your 3-year-old to go see Heretic, what? Why? I don't know. It was aggravating. So these are my thoughts of every movie of the year. Yeah, really, these first ones here are excellent. I can't recommend these ones enough. So thanks for watching, everyone. I got 2 videos I'm planning on doing coming up. Um, I've started a new job and I'm working constantly. So as soon as I like get time, I've been wanting to do this stuff, and I wanted to wait for the end of the year for this video because I knew Nosferatu was the last thing I was going to see. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.